Are we live? Did I do this right? Good morning, good afternoon. Oh my gosh, I hope I did. It says I'm live. I don't know which channels I'm live on. How are you people? Happy Saturday. Oh, hey, there I am. Hello. It's working, it's working, it's working. Oh my gosh. Get used to my camera. I am going to move my light here. Looks like, oh no, that's this one. Hey guys. So glad to be back. Hey, good morning, good afternoon. It's working. We are working. I am so glad to be here. I'll put a little something in the chat, and I thought this had everything with a chat in it. Private chat. No, that is not it. Hey, I'm learning tools. It's so good to be here, folks. It is so good to be here. Happy Saturday. I'm a one-woman show today. And how are you? I'm so glad to be back here. Such a blessed place to be here, back with the Oneness crew. Now that I got the live going, it will take some time. It will absolutely take some time to get here. Here we go. Jan, hello, Jan. How are you on Facebook? Awesome. Hello, Jan. Jean, is it Jean? Okay, too many lights on here. Love you. Live, yes. Thank you. I'm looking. I knew the chat was here somewhere. I knew that it was going to be working. I love you guys. I'm so glad to be here. Just want to share. Here's the Raven and the Warrior. And you know what? I'm Nicole, and I am the warrior with 20 years in law enforcement and security. And I take that experience as the human lie detector. Yes, I have got the big BS meter and that chaos of that criminal underworld. And I blend it with 50 years as a mystic, guided by the wisdom and guidance of the Raven. And you know what? The Raven is my guide, and I utilize that servitude that I've had over years in hospice and being a bridge to that heaven for the vets and in home that were in home care. And a lot of those passionate stories came from these beautiful people at the end of life, or in that point when they were captive by their own minds through the PTSD and a lot of mental illness that I saw not only in my home, but in others that I was caring for, and realized that what that chaos ensues in your own mind and the mindset. And sometimes it's not just the difference of changing your mind in that moment or the words that you use, but it's what we are captive in the dimensions in the multiverse of our own mind, right? You know, if we could just get Neo and have him kind of come and navigate our mind, we'd all be really good. And I am here to guide you on the journey of healing at that soul, that root level. And this is what I do. And I go deep within that shadow self, and I clear those negative beliefs and help you rewrite that into the subconscious program through everything that I do, whether it's readings, runic readings, tarot readings, or through my life in my creativity as the creatrix of my digital services. Everything is soul based, and that is what I do, and that is how I work with it. And so, welcome to the show. And we are here in this beautiful, wonderful space. And I'm just going to have you hold my hand, and I'm going to take you with me. And I want you to open your wings, angel, and soar freely as I guide you through the astral plane. Oh, I'm already losing my voice. Hey. um, you're beautiful people, and let's go into that self inquiry and that self dynamic together and transform and have a little bit of fun, because you know what, my mystical guides are very strong, whether it's Tad or I've got Gita here, or Han, my big soldier, right, my Genghis Khan soldier here. They are all warriors with me, and many of those that I pick up and speak to as I'm doing my runic readings, or in meditation, or just in walking. The light for me is always on. It's never ending. It is always there. And I am so glad to be here with you today. So let's go into a little bit more. I had a download. Nope, I'm not going through that. I've got show notes because I want to make sure that I follow along and that uh, I do good with this time, and we are at this moment together. A little bit of freedom, a little bit of fun. And I like to start off with some news. You know what? I love the technology that we had. I was an 80s baby, and I take the technology from that time and I love it. Yes, I'm a science geek and a Star Wars fan and a whole bunch of pop-ups on my computer. Woo! And you know what I love is the point that today you can see in real time how this technology is working for us, with us. And how do we use that? So I'm looking at the debrief.com, and Japan Space Agency has reported that the first successful flight of a steam-powered spacecraft has taken gone beyond that low Earth orbit, and I can talk today, right? My guys are just throwing some information in there, and they can just go ahead and wait, and they're hot and heavy 24/7. And they've launched as part of NASA's Artemis uh, I mission, and the steam-powered craft has been representative of that new ultra efficient means of pop propulsion. I can say that. So I'm not going to maneuvering the spacecraft. So what happens is Japan has successfully taken a steam powered spacecraft. That's right, folks. If you're in my mind, you're seeing a train fly in in that universe. That's what I see, and that's what I hear in my mind, right? And let's go into the black light satellite. I hope you guys know this, and I watched this show, and I love watching this movie by Billy Carson about the black light satellite that's been there watching us, and maybe that's part of, not necessarily Big Brother, but the spacecraft of us and the information that's been feeding us, because it goes out into space and it comes back, right? We are in informational age. And if we talk about the power of oneness, we are sharing that information. And so what's great about that is we're starting to see technology meet us where we're at, where our minds are at, and where the oneness community has already gone to. And here's a fun one I want to talk about. So, Bigfoot. Bigfoot has been filmed by boaters in Canada. And so if you go to coasttocoastam.com, there are some boaters out there that have some footage of Bigfoot. And if I can start learning how to play these clips, Restream is a little bit new to me, how the dynamic has changed since I've used it about a year or so ago, probably 2 years by now, but it's been a little while. But that's some fun news, and I love to talk about this fun news and what is going on. Let's turn this off. It is just not helping. There we go. Get that studio effect there, right? We've got to learn what works best and how it works for us. A lot of light shining in my eyes, and I can't see. Well, I still have some light here. That didn't help. Maybe I'd turn that back on. Hey, guys. Love you and your patience learning how to use the technology and let it set for me. I love you. I love to be here. We're going to be doing some readings today. It's Ask Me Anything, and I will get to that later in the show. So if you have questions, go ahead and put that in the chat, and I will make sure that I keep my eye on the chat over here on Restream, and once in a while I'll go back to that, especially as I'm reading and I'm getting those downloads for you. I love to share the power of what is the messages that Spirit shares with me, and I love to share that. And you know what's fun is when we connect and we're sharing with Spirit on here, we are sharing that oneness, and we're sharing that creation, and just getting some guidance through life. And that's what I'm here for. We are here to get some guidance, right? Have some fun, play around, open up to the universe. And I am all about teaching and sharing, but I know that so many here, what I love about the people here in the oneness community is that we are already enlightened. We already have dipped our toes in the water and ready to move forward and embrace what is us. So every Saturday when I'm here, I'll be reading some live And my computer's talking to me. I'll be doing some live readings. They'll be through the runes and they will be through the tarot. So if you have questions, I'll have my information for you guys in the chat, and you'll be able to find me and ask me anything. You can even email me. So if you have a question, you can always email me and I'll put that information in there so we can get that information. And I'll be looking for guests also shortly on this show to come in here and do some readings and do some magic tricks. No, just kidding, right? Have some fun and there's my content in there. Make sure that I get that in there for you. My computer keeps the power of magic of what we have. So a little bit more of, let's go into that archetype of what the warrior is. And the the warrior is strength, whether it's male, whether it's female. I know in my journey, like Khan on Star Trek, uh, the Khan is a very strong personality, and he is a warrior through and through, but deep within his heart, he is love. And he is very protective of himself, his family, and who is around him, and his people. So he's protective of Captain Kirk. He's protective of his son that the Khan has later. And the warrior as an archetype, it's one of society's protectors, right? And I've always felt that need to go out and protect people, and represents represents the strength and the the proudness, and the warrior will stand up for the rights of others and for um, trigger anybody. I am here to take you in that moment of fear and to kind of pick you up on my shoulders and save you. And sometimes that's saving you from yourself. But it is not to get out there and start trouble, but it is there to protect you from that trouble, like the warrior at the gates, when we see that in Thor. And there's always that one warrior protecting the gate and always ready to fight, but not to bring the fight to them. And we don't go looking for that, not anymore at least. And so it's that loyalty and the willingness to fight to the death, and to seem that there's that battle. But sometimes in our own mind, and I know for me, that warrior mindset, there was always a battle in my own mind and a lot of mental health issues when I was young, which I didn't understand, coming from my family in the home that I was raised in. And so a little bit into my past, and this is why I'm so passionate about the guidance and being here, and so thankful to be asked to come back on to the Oneness community channels. And having battled that myself as a young child, a teen mom, I lived on the street and dropped out of school, and I was a alcoholic and anorexic. Well, you can't tell now, but that's okay. But my parents were schizophrenic, paranoid schizophrenic, and one had multi-personality disorder. It's called dissociation disorder. And the reason to label that right now is for you to understand, when you're growing up in a chaotic place, everything is chaos. If you're a hammer, everything's a nail. And so I thought that I had to constantly fight the battle since I was a young child. And even with my health, my dyslexia, and a certain spectrum of autism, as I come into 50 years now, realizing that my thoughts and how I processed was totally different than what everybody else thought. But now that I'm 50, I start to celebrate that and share that. And the reason I share that with you is, when we understand where our mental health is at, and where we understand who we are in the world and where we are, and we have the self-leadership to understand our environment mentally, physically, and emotionally. And sometimes not necessarily worrying about breaking down every word or every motion that you have, but understanding the full spectrum. So if you detach yourself and you're watching what was going on, if you're armchair quarterbacking on a Monday, what happened on your weekend, or the tragedy of that was you. From my perspective, it's really understanding, hey, when did it start? So being hyper vigilant of when those emotions started, when you set yourself into the problem, and how you continue to allow it to go instead of just opening the door and walking out. And these are the tools that I share is in this is understanding that it's come so many years later, for me at least, to say, um, you know, understanding what my own emotions are. And sometimes it's more than just a word or an environment and just one emotion, but understanding truly where that comes from. And in that deepness of the soul and the fragmentation of us, when we start to understand that, we can start to understand what we're responsible for. But also knowing in forgiveness for ourselves that we are not, cannot be responsible for everybody else in all moments. That energy is ours, but do not blame yourself for everything. You cannot blame yourself for what your neighbor did, what your dog did. You cannot, you have to take ownership and be that leader within, but you cannot blame yourself for every moment because it's very critical. But that on the opposite side doesn't mean that walk away and nothing is your responsibility and it's all a handout. So it's that healthy balance when we talk about that, right? It's the healthy balance in life of what is us. And so if anybody is on here and you want to throw a question in the chat, in the next few minutes, I'll be coming up to the runes and the tarot. What I have, what I'm pulling up here, I'm using the Rider Waite. It's a very holographic deck. I don't know if has that come through. Ooh, it does pretty much come through. So you can see that the wands here and what is going on in these pictures, but what is going on in this moment. So what I'll do is I'll just draw some fun stuff here for this moment. And when we're talking about this, so we are in the energy, we're past that full moon, we're in Sagittarius. I myself am a Sag. Where did I put this? So it is my birthday week. And what a way to celebrate my 50th birthday by coming back on here and saying, yes, I embrace my woo. I embrace who I am. And I want to share some of that fun and freakiness with you and have a good time. So Saturday, my friends, will be a celebration of us and a celebration of who we are and our own inner magic. And the Sagittarius is the 9th house, the sign of the zodiac. My words are so backwards today. It symbolizes the archer in the guise of the centaur. And that's that half man, half beast, right? That's me. I am that warrior. I'm a full Sagittarius. I'm Irish Italian. So my mind and my funny bone are way, wow, out here and always just having a good time, right? Getting together and sometimes having a party and being silly. But it's in an intellectual mind, and in order not to get stuck in the critic, I pull in that funny guy, the fun of the Sagittarius and that fire. And doesn't mean that that I'm always good with words or what I say when I say it, because my human lie detector, my BS reader start to go off, and my immediate response is to tell you what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling, my emotion. So I tend to stay with a lot of people around me that understand that they really want to hear the truth. And again, that's our world around us and our environment that comes back to that. Even as an empath or a mystic and a warrior, I have to be able to be surrounded by people who understand me and get me and who aren't putting me down or keeping me down or gaslighting me. This is very important. Are you around people that truly love you, or do they kind of make you feel a little bit like, they don't really get me. They don't get my sense of humor. They don't get who I am as a person, or they don't get my wit. And when you start to understand, as we start to understand who we are at the core, maybe our signs, our astrology, who we are every day and our experiences, are we rewarded for it? Are people trying to keep us down, right? And that can be our friends or the people that we work with that are not necessarily, can come off that they're ashamed of you, or it can come off that they don't think you're fun or funny. But the truth is that they can be feeling that imposter syndrome and that jealousy. And I see that. I have to understand that. I don't think everybody's jealous of me, but what I have to understand in my heart is that I am very strong and intelligent and very witty, and not everybody can keep up with that. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that some people don't understand, and instead of accepting it at their in their heart that this is who Nicole is and we're going to celebrate her, instead what they do is they can get angry. And I use myself as an example, and we feel this, right? They can become angry or put you down or say nasty things to you and get catty or petty with you because they are so afraid of your strength and your power, right? This is where the raven spirit animal comes in for me, and it's the wisdom. The raven for me comes through that multi-dimensional universe and brings back the guidance of what I need. So my power with Osiris and Isis, right? Isis, Mother Mary. She's a mother, she's mother energy, but she's knowledgeable and protective because we all know Mary's gone through a bit of a hardship, and so is Isis. And it's the strength of the tragedy that they have brought with them, but they have not brought that pretend triggered, emotional kind of junk or BS with them. What they do is they take that tragedy of what they had and knowing, hey, how does this give me into the mystic and the prophecy and the independency? And that this is where the raven goes and gets that knowledge and kind of brings it back sometimes even to the owl and the wisdom of the owl in between. So the raven is able to cross over, bring in the wisdom, then comes the owl and delivers that message, right? They are messengers. And they can adapt to their surroundings and that strength. And if you know, the raven comes in and Edgar Allan Poe, what a wonderful, wonderful poem. When the raven comes in, he's like, nevermore. And he's coming in, and he's giving Edgar Allan a message from the Lenore who had passed, and bringing that message into him to say, hey, it's okay. Come on, move on. She is past. And the raven, there's so much meaning in there because the raven is sometimes in that sign in that moment of death, and we see ravens or crows at the time of passing. I do. And sometimes it's just the message to move on. She's not here. She hasn't been here. And it's time to move forward. But Edgar Allan is so sad in that moment of losing his great Lenore, right? And the raven's kind of like, let's go. Wake up. Message is here. Time to move on. And we're not always getting that. And so we need to pay attention to why that animal is coming here. But the raven is in the conscious of understanding. He's also in the solitary, you know. Uh, we are here in independence and freedom, and the raven is known to be independent. There's flocks of birds sometimes, but a lot of times it's that independence that we need. And we can be shown sometimes that the raven is highly intuitive, and they tend to be above other people or feel that they're other people. That animal flies high and he's there, but the raven has to have that extreme strength. Again, as a warrior, I need a representative in the spirit animal community that's going to come to me and give me a direct message. Though it may be dark, I am able to see that. And I invite you to go down there. There's also a reading that I put in there, schedule a reading if you'd like to come to a reading, runic reading. And I use often tarot in those readings as well. And when I give my readings, they're very deep. And they show a lot. My readings show so much, but it's enough to move that pattern. So those readings are deep. And sometimes when we get deep information and we go into our soul, it feels a little bit dark. Why does it feel dark? Because it's cloudy in our minds and we're not necessarily ready to go forward. But when you're coming to a psychic medium or you want to talk to somebody, be prepared for the answers that you're given. Come with questions. There are questions on your mind. Be truthful that you're ready to hear those questions or not. Don't just go see someone and have a reading if you're not ready to kind of follow that path. It's only guidance, right? Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I only play one on TV. Love you. Okay, so today's a new day and not much went out, and I only put a few messages out on my media for my followers as well to see how this was going to go and where we were going to be at today. And I will share that with you. So good to be here. Any other messages that I have from my guides to share with you, the beauty of that, and if when I share my life as a child from mental health issues in my family, being the black sheep to heal and to share my healing and to share my journey and to be in servitude, in true servitude, whether it's in my work or how I work with people in a heart-centered business, in that heart-centered space to share with people how they can kind of brand themselves, or I go into my digital branding or commercials. That's the other side of me. It's all about sharing that throat chakra and the voice of you. Even in the course that I'm sharing next week on the 16th, it's about doing my own audiobook. I'm an author. I wrote a book called Cracking the Podcast Code. But so many people want to hear audio as well as be part of video. And I share with people how to bring their voice forward. And part of that is this journey here. And that raven, if I'm not listening, that raven's going to come into me and just kind of peck me on my head and be like, "Hello, fly," right? My guides are very strong guides because I need that message. I'll just sit in that moment or that space and get kind of foggy if I don't watch or listen to my guidance, and they come and my guides bring me out of that, and that's the reason I share about my personal life and what goes on with that. So let's get into a reading here, and I want to make sure that I have my notes of the messages to share with you today. There's a few cards that I have pulled. And since this computer is going wonky, thank goodness, I had knocked, talk about getting ready for today. I had kind of knocked my, I knocked my cord out, my charging cord. Whoopsies, knocked that out. And so my computer wasn't on this morning. The King of Swords today. We're going to start with, been called to bring this in. And so I've drawn 3 cards from today. And Manuel Vordad, okay, I can't understand what you're saying, friend. But if you can put in the chat, folks, if you have a question, put that in the chat because I'd love to pick a card for you. Actually, pick some rune stones here, and we'll go more into the runes today of what that means and sharing with you a little bit more of in depth. And the runes are very strong. They're very witty. And they can be very powerful. So here we go into our magic. I don't have my wand. I should have my wand here. The King of Swords. And yeah, I get it. Excuse me. I get a little dry when I talk. Ooh. So basically, in this, the King of Swords is meeting the intelligent. I'll try and get a picture later of these cards and post them on the site of what I read today. And it's the symbol of intellectual power, authority, the King of Swords. The King is strong. He's holding his sword here for us. And it's in judgment. His sword is unsheathed. So he's taking it out and showing the sign of the suit of his strength, right? The sword is his family, right? That's part of his crest, and it's justice. When you have a king in the power of that strong male energy, when you have a king present and showing up, he's there to defend his kingdom. And we want this. We want that king to be there. Intelligent, he's charming. Rule. We need that as a king inside of us. We want to be charming. We want to be the person in the room that people engage with and talk to, whether we're networking or meeting a client. We want to be professional as a client, right? So, me, for my business, in any parts of my business, I want to be professional. I want to be intelligent, and I want intelligent people and professional people around me because it helps my business succeed. And of course, the smarter somebody is, a lot of people don't understand comedy, like Lucille Ball, very big fan of hers. Lucille Ball had to be incredibly intelligent to deliver the wit of what she delivered on camera. She's very smart and witty, and it takes intelligence to be fun and to get that moment and to have fun in that moment. And hey, guys, when you're witty and you're understanding and you're intelligent, you're having fun, and there's such a freedom in laughing. I laugh about myself all the time because otherwise I'd be crying and I'd be sad. And then, somebody else would be laughing at me. So I'll laugh first. I want to get the first laugh and I want to get the last laugh. That is just me and who I am. And so the second card here for today is the Queen of Cups, and we'll talk about how they work together. And so a little lesson today in the Queen of Cups is she's dreamy. And she sees the vision of cups. Cups in the rune is lagos, and that's feminine energy. It's water. Water is flowing. Water is moving. Water can be emotion, and it's just a big female energy, and it's an honest, devoted woman. So we have a Queen of Cups and a King of Swords. So the honesty, the devotion of the kingdom, which is you. And so as I read these are the king and queen inside of you, a good woman, distinguished, and she's very trusting and honest, kind of like Mother Mary, right? She's very honest and distinctive. And she's a deep desire about the inner world. She's a mature female. I'm mature. So follow your heart. So the maturity and the strength, and a queen versus the princess. And the princess is very airy fairy and everything's wonderful and everything's free. And a point of that is great. But what you miss as the princess is the knowledge and the wisdom of the queen. And the queen has the power of beauty and grace and standing out and shining. But there is just something grand when we think of a queen in the old world, about how she stands, the queen mother, how she stands in her presence. It's just very engaging. She's nurturing again and very concerned. And so you have a very powerful male and female balance, emotion and warrior together that has perfect balance. So somebody that can be professional and witty and strong, like a CEO of you, be the CEO of you. Who's watching out for you here? And then the Queen of Cups, and she's got the malleable parts of water, because water can be ice, water can be, you can drink the water, right? Water is growth, water is nourishing. So water is needed, and so is the strength. Namaste, Jerry. You're so awesome. I love you. She is so fun. I love, and I got to talk to Jerry the other day. So great to be in the energy of being here. What a love. And so obviously, I hope I'm on the right channels, Jerry. Thank you so much. And I love being here in this community, and it's so fun. And so the next card is the Ten of Swords. And when we're looking at the Ten of Swords, it can be a painful situation. There's 10 swords that can be in your back, and it's the situation, the reality of what is going on. It's ending. And so the swords in someone's back, and again, what I'll do, folks, is I probably need a new deck to be on the boob tube here, because they're kind of shiny, they're fun, they're holographic. in our holographic universe, and there are 10 swords in your back. And that sucks. It just sucks. You got swords in your back, and sometimes that could be your friends, your family. And as we were speaking earlier, and I was guided to tell you about my life and some people that I was around, whether it was in my family or coworkers, and the backstabbing when people feel threatened by your greatness, right? And so those are the 10, that's 10 swords. Those are you being great and people not wanting to see that. And there's a lot of that in the universe today. People don't want you to get up. They want to cancel you. They don't want you to be, it's a way of putting you down. And I don't go for that. And that's my warrior mentality. My BS reader beeps up and it says, doot, 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 no, 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 right? Will Robinson, you remember the robot on Will Robinson going around and saying no. um, but it's, you know, again, I will be here in the weeks to come for you folks to have a reading so you can ask me anything. It's such a joy for me, and it's so fun because I love pictures and I love divinity and the divining of these tools. I can do this alone, but it's fun to have tools in our tool belt to show and see, oh, maybe I never thought of it this way, or maybe I didn't realize what it was for me. And when I read the tarot and the runes, for me, it's the practical magic of how does this apply to our life today? And but the fun of yesteryear and the strength of our ancestors. So the swords can be pain and affliction and tears. Um, but the opposite of it, and truth be told, when I pulled this card, it was upside down. And the reverse of being stabbed in the back is what? It's love, it's profit, success, favor. So take all those swords out of your back. And you know what? For me, I would sharpen them and put them on the wall. So it's a message every day to me of what I went through and how I survived. And how now went from the victim with the swords on my back to the survivor of having the swords for protection, and now I have the swords on my wall to represent the strength of who I am and the ability to overcome. And that's just a little bit of the fun here and putting that together. Let's get some rune stones. And if anybody's watching, you have a question, put it on. Let's see what comes up. And we're going to try and talk about matching what the runestone meaning is. And the runes are just these little cute little runes. And again, I'll put a picture of these up here. And it's owls. When you talk runes, when we talk about angel cards, a lot of times when we talk about angel cards, which are fun too, it's that high fairy energy. When you're in the divinity of the runes, you're in a deep tone, in that deep strength of the sacral and the root chakra to bring us together. So when we're chanting or we're drumming or we're in a shamanic kind of Celtic druid base, the runes are that deep strength, that energy, right? Not which is great, but we need to bring them together. And so for me, in that underworld, kind of that Isis and Osiris energy in the underworld, it is important to have that balance. So that's what I'm here for, being able to walk into that darkness and bring you out to light. And so if we don't remember the journey, that means maybe somebody has guided us out and we didn't really walk it, but somebody was there to help us, and we need that at times. So Alys is the elk, and that's the strength and the friendship and the optimism, fortune and soul. And so it's our fortune coming forward. It's the second ayat in the warrior family. And it is, again, we are having fortune and aspiration from the battle that we have fought, and we are coming forward in this right now. And sometimes that message goes and it comes and it will circle back, right? We get into the air of our energy, and it's so funny. Hagalaz. And this is, again, second ayat warrior family. It's our limits, our appeals, are the delays in our shadows and the disruptive forces that we have come from, right? We have come from that disruptive force, and we are moving into now our mentorism and our heaven. So we are coming up, and as we increase our vibration, we're going into the light. And this one is manas. And manas is the third ayat, and it's the human. So we've gone from the elk and the hail. The hail is just pelting us, right? And we were getting ready for a storm, so it took me another minute or so to get on because my internet was lapsing just a little bit. But, telling my computer and blessing it and telling it, hey, well, I'm ready to come on. I had my phone ready if I had to, but this popped on, so I'm loving it. And it's manas. Manas, the human, the self, the modesty, the altruism, right? It's our selflessness. So that the hail, so when I tell you that Hagalaz is the hail. And so the hail is felt with the swords in our back. We are pelted by the swords and the pain in our shadow. So that's where these two are coming together. And there's the alignment of those three. And then we have the destiny and the friendship and the optimism. The optimism is always that queen, and she has to be optimistic. She has to be that female half of the male, and that's why we have a king and queen, so we can have that ruling be balanced, and the friendship in the both. And so the optimism and the aspiration, fortunate soul is Alyes, and that goes with the king of swords and his strength, and bringing those together. And so understanding, as we understand runes and the tarot and even who we are, again, it brings back to the astrology. And for the times as a Sagittarian, I love essential oils. So what I bring in is if you're not receiving that, you feel that merit and you want to achieve that manifestation, oils that support that self-worth and self-esteem are sandalwood, rosewood, vetiver, ylang ylang, geranium, cedarwood, and jasmine. These are the stronger, deeper oils, and they help bring cedarwood is, a tree. And it's the woods are trees, right? So when we think of wood, we think of tree, we think of our root, and that we are rooted in the ground. And so if Jupiter's influence on Saturn, and you want to have that adventurousness and that love and that freedom, you're going to bring in some you want to bring into that freedom, right? And that's what happens. And so when we want to have, when we are rooted and we are grounded, we're able to be freer and have that Jupiter influence, and exploring new places and choosing a new career or flying around town. So gravitate towards the diplomatic service and immerse yourself in foreign countries and exotic surroundings. And when you're professional and you have the energy of the King of Swords, you're going to be that diplomatic, means diplomacy, right? Not only politically, but do you have diplomacy when you're going to somebody else's world, or traveling to other countries, or just going to another state? Do you have the ability to be professional with these people and meet them where they're at and understand where you're going? They're not coming to you, you're going to see them. So you're going to their house. So remember that. Wipe your feet, so to say. Don't track mud into them. If you want to encourage that freedom and adventure, um, geranium, again, hyssop, rose, clary sage. Oh, Melissa is great. Helichrysum is my favorite. Rosemary has the same constituents as lavender. So they let us, there's my alarm coming off to know that I have 5 minutes to talk to you and get this in. And lavender is calming, right? And sometimes lavender is not quite right, so you put in a rosemary, some spaghetti sauce. You got some rosemary there, right? Where are those herbs at? So as an herbalist and an aromatherapist, where can you get those herbs? Maybe you don't want to go buy $600 worth of oils. But you have the rosemary in your house, right? If I want to set blessing and prosperity in my home and I'm shifting my work and I'm starting a new project, I will soak some basil into the hot water when I go to mop my floor and spreading that basil around, right? It's kind of like the spell in the house, and I'm spreading that around in a circle and bringing that energy in and prosperity. And so every time I step on the floor in the kitchen, I'm bringing prosperity to myself and then sprinkle a little bit into my sauce, right? So, are you a kitchen witch? Are you out there? Are you getting out there and using those sauces? And think about as you're adding it. So, if you really want to hone in perfectly on the sage, neroli, melissa, sage, rosemary, I put the sage in a roller ball, take it with me where I go. Our frankincense and myrrh, if you're in the shopping line, I love to say this all the time. If you're in the shopping line and you're a Sag or you're just in the Sagittarius energy, and you're trying to keep your mouth and your thoughts to you because I'm one to say my words. Hey, I grew up on the street, right? And so I'm one to have to be careful sometimes and not to allow that to kind of spit out and just be, hey, like, you know what? I want to be calm. I want to be cool. I want to get through the line. I'm the next person, but the person behind you is a bit negative and you can't go too far and they're next to you in line. So you just take your little oil. So this is taking your tools, and I can't open it. Taking your tools with you, my friends, putting it on. You can't be in the Walmart spraying your sage, Everybody can smoke, but you can't spray your sage. They'll kick you out. So you put a little on and hey, you know what? Maybe you have it in a little tiny sprayer. You can kind of spray the area and the person next to you. So it gives a good energy. So take your tools with you. You can't throw 10 pounds of crystals in your backpack and carry it, right? With your shopping, it's a little much. You get the kids, you get the family, you're bringing that. So take a little bit of what you can. People just think it's perfume. You don't have to tell anybody. The magic is if people step inside your aura, that you're protected. If they step inside your aura, your 3 feet of space, which is your safety area, right? Coming from that law enforcement background, that 3 feet is my sacred space. Whatever way you want to look at it in safety as you travel around the world or just go shopping, is that if somebody chooses to do that, you have it protected and they are stepping into your space. So you protect yourself. You put that out there. Put that zipper up, put that mesh around, protect yourself. Protect your area. And when you're in self-leadership and you're in a super awareness, you can protect that. So people decide not to enter. It's like sending a blessing to yourself is okay. Maybe somebody doesn't want to accept the blessing that's next to you. That's okay. They won't step into your space. And so now you got your little bubble, right? So you can set that blessing, but you're awake enough to know that it's coming to you and you can step away. So that's just in a personal space, but you have your strength, you have your King of Swords today, you have your Queen of Cups, and so you have protection, you have emotion and love and compassion, you have strength to protect your house and your property and the temple of you, but you also know that you have taken all those swords out of your back, display them on the wall as the warrior that you are, and know where you came from and what you have survived, and be grateful for that. And I am grateful to be here. Again, my name's Nicole Borgi. My information's in the chat, folks. I want you to reach out to me. I'll be here next Saturday, and every Saturday you can ask me anything. So I look forward to hearing from you. Namaste. Love to be here. Thanks.